Banana, can you explain what laws I'm breaking right now?
No, výroba omamných a psychotropních látek, to máš paragraf od 2 do 8 let. Tady nás je víc jak 3 lidi, mezinárodná organizovaná, takže to je 12-15.
Oh, we're like a cartel right now. Ah, I see.
15 years, 15 years.
13 years. So during most of the year, Prague's junkies live like junkies anywhere. They hang out on the streets, they beg for change, they peddle stolen goods if they can get it, anything to get enough money to buy more smack. What's unique here is that once a year, when the Czech poppies are in bloom, they go out into the fields and they harvest them, and it's a little vacation. Despite producing some of the 20th century's best music, opiates are the black sheep of the drug family. Not only do they kill a good chunk of their users, they're grown by some of the most evil people on earth, then pass through even eviler hands on their way to your veins. But hard narcotics don't have to come from the Golden Triangle or the Taliban. Opium-producing poppies can grow almost anywhere. The Czech Republic, one of the least evil places on earth, is actually the leading poppy cultivator in the world. Officially, the Czechs grow it for the poppy seeds, like the ones on your bagel, and claim that the morphine content in their particular strains of poppy is too low to make into heroin, or to get high off of on its own.
To se dá v podstatě říct, že v těch farmaceutických odrůdách je 10 a víckrát větší množství alkaloidů, než je v těch obálkách pro potravinářství. Mohou se tu pěstovat pouze odrůdy, které obsahují v té maximálně 0,8%, a to znamená, že na...
However, the fact that Czech farmers have started selling their leftover poppy straw to the drug industry kind of suggests the complete fucking opposite. While the Czech police and poppy growers union try to keep up the front that you can't turn Czech poppies into smack, Prague's junkies know better. This is where we left, and we're basically right around here. We just hop a bus, and we are in poppy land. This year, the junkies invited us to the poppy fields just outside the suburbs to join them at their heroin summer camp, to relax, learn a little campfire cooking, and see how their product stacks up against the usual New York bundle. So there are the poppy fields right there. You can they stand out really well against the rest of the crops. You can see the red flowers and the blue pods. Nobody's out in the fields though right now, so it may be a little early for the first harvest. We're gonna go find the junkies camp in the surrounding woods. So I'm starting to see evidence that the junkies have been here. If you look, all these poppy pods have been slashed open, and that's how you get the opium out of it. It comes out kind of like tree sap. And so they've all been scored with like a knife or something. There's also slightly more obvious junkie detritus, like this cardboard bed, and there have been needles all over the ground. It's clear somebody had a camp here and probably just like lay down and dreamt and or fucked very slowly. So the main junkie camp must be pretty nearby. We're gonna follow the little syringe crumb trail to our junkies camp out. Ciao, já jsem Tomas.
Tomas?
Dimitriv. Thomas. Ciao.
Ciao.
Heroin camp, it turns out, is a lot like regular camp. Dress code is lax, wake up times whenever you want it, no one ever seems to take a shit, although that may be more an effect of the opiates than general camp food constipation. Despite urban heroin addicts' reputation for selfishness, everyone here shares their drugs on a who's kicking hardest basis and pitches in on the basic camp duties. From making dumpster runs to the nearest grocery stores, to keeping the campsite's myriad clocks in sync, to taking their turn cooking the dope. Everybody's favorite cook, though, is Banana, who's been coming to the fields the longest and taught most of the other junkies his recipe. He is so named because he also makes a mean batch of yellow-colored speed. So what are you doing with the gauze?
Natráš si to do ruky, čo najviac. Počkáš, kým ti spravia sa kapky, potom je utreš.
You take the white out of them, and that's the opium.
Mali by sme ísť cesty ako za chalanmi, víš?
That's awesome.
Lepšie asi. Spíš. S tým policajtom, vieš?
Okay. So why do you do it this way instead of cutting them? Is it just, is it better, or is it just quicker?
Ako nemůžem si to dovolit, protože když chodí tady policajti, tak nemůžeme čekat na to, kým to vyteče z toho.
But doesn't this upset like the farmers? Doesn't this bring the policemen more because you can't use these for poppy seeds anymore?
To ne. To zase není až tak, to je strašně malý podíl, ty úrody, takhle zničený.
How many poppies do you have to pop before you have like a good dose?
No, na ten jeden var, na ten jeden fáč, tak 200, 300.
Okay, you want to really soak the gauze then. It's got to be damp. This is hard work. Junkies have a reputation for being lazy, but honestly, in terms of addicts, they're kind of the hardest working addicts in business. They take the wiring out of buildings, they have to keep up all those lies in their lives. Even out here on their vacation, they're basically doing like fruit picking. So how they do it in like Turkey and Afghanistan, it's more this method. You just make like little tiny scratches in the surface. And as it dries in the sun, it kind of collects more and more of the milk. The problem is that this just takes a lot of time. The Czech poppies looked like their Turkish and Afghan counterparts, and certainly milked like them too. But I couldn't help but wonder how strong their opium was by comparison.
Jako fakt mě blbě od žaludku, jsem byl grcat jak si. Nesedlo asi to, co ráno vařil jeden ten kluk tam, víš? A mi to nesedlo asi.
Pretty damn strong, I guess. This rag is getting pretty moist. I think it might be about time to head back to camp and do a little cooking. On our way back from the field, we swung by another campsite to say hi.
Hej, ne, podívej, jak jsem vyfárala ty boty.
Yeah.
Podívej, jsou hustý, ne?
Tam nějakou jehu. Vidím nějakou jehu.
Já nevím, kde to je.
Jo, mám tam 25, ne?
Neky, což je tam 25.
Ona je čerstvá opiátnice.
Kubo, pojď mi bohem.
So what do we do with it now? Put it on the jeans. Okay, so we wait for it to dry?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay.
Cool. All right. To pep themselves up for the night's cook, Banana and company shot up the previous night's leftovers. Straight from the field, right up the veins. It's about as simple as it gets. It's about as organic as it gets, too. Dobrze? While facial itching is a regular part of the opiate experience, the home-cooked campfire dope Banana makes occasionally throws a hot, full-body shiver into the mix. The junkies call this getting the pine needles, and it means you didn't cook out enough of the excess plant matter.
To je strašně horko, já se pobliju to.
Banana's taking a barf break. Banana was supposed to walk me through my first cook, but he nodded out midway through and passed the label to Kuba, his sous chef, or second banana, if you will. Put this in? Just dunk it straight in. Kuba was then supposed to explain the whole process to me, but he was a little zonked too, so I guess I'll just tell you. First, you take the opium-soaked gauze, dunk it in vinegar, heat it up a little, and then strain it out into the ladle with the excess vinegar. Opium contains an enormous number of alkaloids, of which morphine is only the best known and pretty much safest bet for getting high. So the whole point of the process is to try to cook it down to just the morphine, and if possible, to acetylize the morphine into diacetylmorphine, aka heroin. It's like toasted marshmallows. In a slightly more professional setting, you'd use a chemical like acetone, but this is campfire cooking, so household vinegar it is. You repeat this process a few times until what you're left with is a thick, tarry brown gum you can either heat up and inject right away, or wad up into a little silly putty ball for safekeeping. When does the harvest end?
No, za 14 dní bych řekl, že to bude suchý.
Are you able to save up during the harvest to like last you a little while when you go back? Do you go back to town?
Někdy jo. Jako lidi jezdí prodávat, ale no, dělám daleko slabší do toho města, protože lidi jsou kreténi a jsou schopni se s tím zabít. No jasný, no. U nás na ulici je prostě heroin, který má 1 až 4%. No a to, co my si uvaříme, tak má 50. Vytahuju to z té sběračky přes vatu do stříkačky.
Now, did you roll this for me or for yourself?
Jsem to balil pro sebe, ale ti zakouří.
Děkuji. Díky moc. Ooh, taste that. All right, well, you guys have your bedrolls. I think that's it for the night. Dobranoc.
Dobro.
That is, these guys are the locavores of heroin users. We just watched smack come straight out of a plant about 5 minutes that way to a campfire and right up their veins. There was no terrorists involved, and the junkies seemed to like it. Oh God, that's hard to walk into. I thought you could just walk through weed. Field of Dreams, my fucking ass. The next morning, everyone got their wake-me-up fix, then it was off to the fields for the day's first harvest. Back in the Cold War days, before Prague's dopers could even get their hands on real heroin, they had brown, a loose admixture of crushed-up painkillers they injected. Because the Czechoslovakian authorities couldn't admit that their pristine communist society had such a decadent Western problem as drug use, junkies were treated with the same heavy hand as political dissidents. So they started behaving like dissidents, forming a little underground support network to help each other find access to drugs, share needles, and safe places to shoot up and crash. These Cold War drug circles are where Banana learned his cooking skills, and also how to instill and preserve a sense of community among some of the least civic-minded people in society. As one of the campers said, the problem with heroin addicts isn't so much the heroin as the lack of heroin. That's where the stealing, lying, and hustling come in. When junkies have free access to their drugs, they act like regular people. Better than regular people, really. They share, they cooperate, they look out for each other. It's a model of little A anarchy in action. Perfect. Cool.
Okay.
Alright. And then just like little bubbles, that's what I'm looking for, right? Master Chef is kind of taking over my duties a little bit. It's like I understand the mechanics, but the art of it, I would have to practice.
Musíš si nechat záležet, víš co? Jako když má babička má svůj recept, sice jako dát ten recept 10 sousedkám, ale prostě i tak bude mít nejlepší koláč ona, chápeš?
Okay, this is the one I cooked. Okay. We're gonna go test these out, see how well I did against the master. Well, this is it's the end of our holiday. Banana's going back to Brno. Summer can't last forever.
Banány, kdybychom se neviděli, tak se měj. Ráda jsem tě poznala.
Naschledanou.
Tam vypadá trošku, jak se jmenuje ten režisér? Woody Allen, Děkuji.
Thank you for everything, man. This has been a very great vacation for me. With summer ending and the poppy seed harvest approaching, it was time for Banana and the campers to return to their workaday city lives. We just had one last niggling question. We're about to go to a lab in the addictology department of Charles University, and they're going to run some tests on the supposed heroin we brought back. I've been keeping in my notebook. They're going to run some tests on it, see if they've been what they're shooting up out there is in fact heroin, or if some weird morphine derivative, or if it's just like plant gunk. What did you learn from our test?
Vypadá to, že nejvíce je tam morfínu, no.
Does morphine include heroin? Does it include diacetylmorphine too, if it's present?
No, heroin tam určitě není tedy, to jako zcela určitě ne.
What would the effects be of shooting this compared to pure heroin?
Asi euforii nejspíš způsobovat bude, protože kodeinu je tam dost, morfínu je tam dost, no, jako.
So the lab seems to show that this is not heroin, as we'd hope, but rather just isolated morphine. which at the same time is pretty impressive for a bunch of campfire chemists, and arguably a lot better for them than whatever they're getting on the street. In any case, I think the takeaway from this, we've seen some shitty fucking lives that suggest you should not do heroin or any kind of smack ever, as we've all been taught. But if you're gonna do it, I guess, grow your own.